Welcome, everyone. We are back. The BS Report. John Stanko, Kevin Bartnett. Kevin, how are you doing? It's been a long time.
I know, man. It has been a long time. It's been a good since, I don't remember if it was late April or early May. I'm pretty sure it was May, but it has been. But, it feels like we never missed a beat, my friend.
No. How's it been after graduation? You been doing well?
I've been doing well, I sell cars now for a living. I rent cars, for a living, so it's going great, though. Great company to work for. How are you doing, John?
I'm doing well. I'm up in Boston working for the America East Conference, so good to see we both got a job coming out of college. So Iona College did us well.
Yes, it did, very much.
Yes, it's a good thing to be a Gale. But let's get right into it, Kevin. We're going to go through week one, game by game, and give our prediction as to who's going to win. We'll keep a tally, so when we come to our next podcast, you'll know who's on top. Cough, me.
Yeah, okay, we'll see about that. I definitely won last year. I
don't know. I mean, I won. I was in for the past 2 years. I've won the Pigskin Pick'em against all my roommates. So I think you got competition there, Kevin. I think you got competition.
I'm all in for it. You're on, man.
All right, so let's get right to it. And as we go along, so people know, whenever we see a team that we think is going to win their respective division, we're going to point them out. So we'll just go through there and pick our division winners as we go through the games. And then at the end, once we go through all 16 games, me and Kevin will both lay down our Super Bowl champion and our NFL MVP. We'll give our bold predictions before the season even starts to see who has the fortune teller gift. But let's hop right into it. The opening game this Thursday, just 2 days away, the Green Bay Packers going to Seattle, the home of the Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawks. Kevin Bartnett, how do you see game one of week one coming out?
I think there is a lot of hype surrounding this matchup. Put it this way, you have two of the better teams over the last 5 years who are coming together, opening up the season. It's a term of fact. The Seahawks and Packers. Never count them out. I think it's going to be, I think it's definitely going to be a good game. Green Bay kind of had a little bit of a disappointing season last year, but many people do forget that Aaron Rodgers missed a good 6 or 7 games. They are a completely different team when they do not have Aaron Rodgers, and that's a fact.
Agreed, but they still won their division last year when someone by the name of Seneca Wallace started the game for them at the end of the year, and they still won the NFC North. That's how good they are.
Well, having Rodgers in that they have Rodgers in the last game, the game clinching game in Chicago, who we'll get to later, but I'm very high on this year. I think, though, in this game you have to favor Seattle. I think, they still have that unreal defense. They're going to have the guys. Green Bay's got, they got Cobb and Jordy Nelson, obviously. But, I can at least do it again. It's he had a great rookie season. Do you think maybe he benefited that from Rodgers not being there, though? That's a legitimate question. With Rodgers there, are they going to stay as a pass-heavy attack? And even if they do, Seattle, I think, is the one team you don't want to go against.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that this game is going to be very close because you got to remember this is the Hail Mary rematch. I have a good friend, I think you know him, Tommy Simon, who's still very, very spiteful about that Hail Mary where Seattle came out on top. So Green Bay is going to be motivated, not just it being week one, but also trying to get revenge for that. But I think it's going to sound so cliche, but the fact that this game is in Seattle, and you already know the team is going to be pumped because they're going to be revealing the banner, and they're defending their title for the first time. Then you got that crowd opening night. Now Aaron Rodgers is a masterful quarterback, but there's going to be a lot of noise. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a few false starts to start the game for Green Bay. So I got Seattle coming out on top by 3. 27-24. That's the score I'm predicting.
I think I'm going to keep it more. I like where you're at. I come in very similar scores. I'm going to go 24-14. Actually, I think that's going to be close. I think just at the very end they're going to get a late touchdown or something that seals it up for them. Where Green Bay won't have. I think it's going to be one of those games, tight throughout, but then Seattle wins pretty comfortably at the end.
Got you. All right, so let's move on to Sunday. Actually, before we move on to Sunday, it should be known that I have both the Green Bay Packers winning the NFC North and the Seattle Seahawks winning the NFC West.
I do have Seattle winning the NFC as well, so.
But you do. Okay. A little bit of foreshadowing there from Kevin Bartnett, a little bit of foreshadowing. Okay.
Yeah, I do not agree with you on the NFC North, but I gave you a little hint or two I like earlier, but we'll get to that later when we get to that certain team.
We'll get there for sure. Now let's move on to Sunday. Pretty intriguing 1:00 game, I gotta say. The New Orleans Saints going to Atlanta. Atlanta looking to rebound after a fairly dismal season last year. Mike Smith on the hot seat for the Falcons. How do you see this game going out between two division rivals?
I think I really know that I think the Falcons are definitely going to rebound. Just as an aside, have you been watching Hard Knocks this summer?
To be honest, I've never watched an episode of Hard Knocks in my life.
Oh, wow. I mean, it's just great insight, like who's really looking good for teams and stuff like that. I'll tell you, the Falcons, you know what? Their first stringers looked really good in the third preseason game, which is one that most people consider the one that matters. They look really good. So, I don't know, but, I mean, and just another thing from Hard Knocks. I know you definitely remember him, Brian Cox.
Yeah,
Former NFL veteran, played for the Jets and Patriots and Dolphins, I believe. Yeah, he is one of the funniest men, funniest coach I've ever seen. So, if you want to check out clips of Brian Cox, he's definitely won a lot of people over. But he's actually now the Falcons' defensive line coach. And he's working them really hard. Guys like Rashid Hakeman are really impressive and stuff like that. I still like the Saints in this game, though, because, I mean, the Falcons, yes, they had a really bad season, but I think New Orleans improved tremendously with that addition of Jairus Byrd. We all know that the Falcons have a great trio of receivers with Harry Douglas, Julio Jones, and Roddy White, and Matt Ryan, of course, is a very good quarterback. But, the running game is a big question mark, and with that improved Saints defense, I definitely got in favor of the Saints in this game.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that I was a little bit worried about Drew Brees' injury in the preseason, I'm not going to lie, but when he played I watched him play his preseason game, Game 3, and he came out in the first quarter, threw for, I think it was over 150 yards and a couple of touchdowns. Didn't look to miss a beat. And I was like, all right, my worries are out the window. He's absolutely fine. So I agree with you. I got the Saints defeating the Falcons. I think that the Saints defense is going to be a very, very good defense this year. I think the Saints are a very, very good top 5 team right now in the NFL. I got New Orleans winning it 31-21.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat actually. I was going to say 34-24, 31-24. Excuse me. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game, even though I do believe the Saints defense has improved tremendously. Atlanta's trio of receivers might be talent-wise the best in the league.
It very well might be. That's a very good point. Now let's move on to the next. What?
Just one more point. I will say one thing about Atlanta that they don't have this year. The one weapon they have had, that nobody else really has had, maybe besides New Orleans and maybe New England with the great tight ends, is Tony Gonzalez.
Yeah, it's true.
That's a huge loss for them.
Yeah, not even on the field. I bet you off the field as well. That's a huge loss.
Yeah. And if we're throwing our division winners out there, New Orleans Saints, I have winning the NFC South.
And I completely agree with you. I have the New Orleans Saints as well winning the NFC South.
We're agreeing too much. It's scaring me.
Well, I'm sure we'll disagree at some point in time. Maybe this one. We got the Minnesota Vikings heading to St. Louis. St. Louis had a tragedy with Dan Bradford, a second torn ACL, absolutely tragic. He's out once again for the year. Now Sean Hill is in quarterback. I think he's an upgrade from Kellen Clemens, but still not a viable starting quarterback in the NFL in my mind. Who do you got coming out on top, the Vikings or the Rams?
In this game, I've seen Sean Hill plenty of times. He's really not. He's not a bad quarterback. He's what he is. He's a reliable backup. That's what he is. I still like the Rams in this game, though. I'll tell you, I have the Rams as one of my fantasy defenses. The Rams, man, that defensive line could be the best in football. I mean, I'm not even a Rams fan, and I'm excited to see that defensive line play.
Yeah, I think the Rams do have the best defensive line in football. It's not if.
Yeah.
I think they do. But I'm going to surprise you. I actually have Minnesota winning this game 20-17.
Oh.
And
wow.
I bet you we disagree here. And I'm going to tell you why. It's because I think that under the new offense that the Vikings are implementing, I think Adrian Peterson's going to have more of a focal role. I think he's going to have a monster year. And I really think that the Rams' offense is going to struggle in that first week with Sean Hill at quarterback. Now, granted, they get to play in the preseason, and they had a little bit of a heads up that Sam Bradford isn't going to be there for the regular season. But I still think it's going to take a week for them to get into the system with Sean Hill and for him to get some reps under his belt. He's a veteran, don't get me wrong. He's played a lot of games, but you're going to have nerves and you're going to have confusion when you're going out there for the first time starting with a new team. So that's why I got Minnesota eking out. I think it'll be an ugly game. I think there'll be turnovers on both sides from both quarterbacks. But I got Minnesota coming out on top because I think they have the advantage of the running back game. And that's my reasoning.
Right. See, I don't disagree with any of the points you actually did say about, Sean Hill, but I just think the Minnesota Vikings might be one of the 3 or 4 worst teams in all of football, actually. I'm really not a fan. They have come a long way from that great year that they had with Brett Favre's first year. They are far away from that team. Their defensive line needs serious help. Their linebacking corps and secondary alone. And I'm not really a big fan of them on defense. Leslie Frazier was a defensive specialist, and he got fired because of how bad that defense was last year. And not only that, I don't believe the Cordell Patterson hype. I think he's a great returner. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think he's proved enough to show hey, I can be a legitimate receiver in this league.
Don't tell Matthew Berry that. Don't tell Matthew Berry. He's very high on Cordell Patterson.
Well, Matthew Berry, I don't really agree with a lot of things he says either, so that even backs me up. That even further makes me believes my point in Cordell Patterson. I don't look. I think the Vikings should just go ahead and start Teddy Bridgewater. To be honest, I think Matt Castle is not a very good quarterback. I think he had the one very good year with New England and one year at KC. Yes, and he had the one very good year with Kansas City. But then also, if you'll forget, he was terrible at 1 year at Kansas City. I mean, they had 7 Pro Bowlers on that team that year. They were 2-14. I don't think that he is.
I agree with you, but I got to have a little bit of faith in an ex-Patriot great in Matt Castle, and it's like Brian Hoyer. You got to have faith in him because he's an ex-Patriot.
I think Matt Castle is just a backup quarterback too. I mean, if you have to ask me who would I rather take, I mean, running a franchise, maybe. I'd have to think about this one, but if I need to win one game, man, I'm choosing Sean Hill over Castle any day because of how bad I've seen Castle play in many seasons.
Wow, you are like Mark Schlereth. You just despise Matt Castle.
I don't despise him. I think he is what he's a backup player. When I've seen both Castle and Hill play, I've been more impressed by Hill.
All right, so will you have St. Louis winning this game, I'm assuming by the tone of your talking?
Yes, I don't think it's going to be a very high-scoring game. And I also, one thing else to leave out about St. Louis, yes, they don't have a great offense, but Zach Stacy, and their running backs are both studs. Zach Stacy and Adrian Peterson are both studs.
Listen, I'm going to tell you this. Zach Stacy has not impressed me in the preseason, so I'm a little bit down on him. And I'm upset because I drafted him in a lot of fantasy leagues thinking, you know what, I think he's going to be really good. I think he's a good quality pick where you're going to get him, but he's not impressed me. And there are reports that Cunningham, as the backup, has actually has been more impressive in practice as well. So I'm curious to see what happens there in the running back spot. Jeff Fisher is not afraid to shy away from whoever is performing best. Names mean nothing to him.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that's why, you know what, he may have never won a big game. He may have never won the big one, but Jeff Fisher is one of the most respected coaches in this league.
Oh, he's in my mind, he's a top 5 coach in the league right now.
Top 5. Wow. I don't know. I'm top 5 Steve, but he is definitely a very good coach. He can coach my team any day of the week.
He's never had incredible talent to coach.
He did the Titans to the playoffs multiple times, so.
He did. No, he did. All right, let's move on. We're sidetracking. Got to stick to the games. Let's move on to the Cleveland Browns going to Pittsburgh. It's Brian Hoyer getting the starting quarterback job over Johnny Manziel, but he will not have Josh Gordon to go through. And that, sir, is the nail in the coffin for me for the Browns. That cements them as a bad team this year for me. So I got Pittsburgh winning Week 1 fairly easily, 24-13. What are your thoughts?
I think Pittsburgh will win 34-13. Pittsburgh, Cleveland. I mean, the whole Josh Gordon thing is just a shame. I mean, the kid's so talented. So how can you make so many things stupid decisions? That he's not only affecting his life, but he's affecting others. Like the Browns really are relying on him to be like a cornerstone for their franchise. And now he's gone, and now you don't know, he's out for a whole year now. You don't know if he comes back, he's going to be that same Josh Gordon who lit it up last year.
And it's a real shame. Yeah, it's crazy because when they levied down the suspension, he now misses all of training camp next year because it took them so long to make a decision. So he misses all of this year and all of training camp next year. So he's going to go into Week 1 of the regular season not having taken part in training camp, and he's going to be so rusty it's going to take him at least 4 games to get ready. So he's missing basically 20 games right now for the Browns.
And not only that, apparently his thing says that he can't play in the CS. He tried to play in the CFL, but apparently he's not allowed to.
Yeah, now he's not allowed to. It's in his contract.
Which I would have. I don't blame him trying to go in there. But anyway, it's just Pittsburgh Steelers. I think they're going to have a rebounding year. Technically, they really should have been in the playoffs last year. They got very lucky. Very unlucky last year because if you don't remember that penalty in the Kansas City San Diego game, where San Diego really committed a penalty, and then the suck-up's kick that would have been 5 yards up. They would have had another try, and then if he made it, Pittsburgh would have been in the playoffs.
I completely agree with you. Well, before we move on, I have to say that I have the Pittsburgh Steelers winning the AFC North.
And you know what, Jonathan Stanko? I almost agree with you.
You almost? Oh, you tease.
I almost agree with you.
Oh, you tease.
I have them as a wild card team.
Okay. So at least you both have them going to the playoffs.
I have them as a wild card team. I think even though he made some bad decisions, I think Le'Veon Bell is a stud.
I am actually not sold on Le'Veon Bell. He's the one person on that team I don't think. If you look at his numbers, it's very similar to Trent Richardson in his rookie year. And Trent Richardson has not panned out in the rest of his career. So that's why I'm a little bit hesitant on Le'Veon Bell.
Why I like Le'Veon Bell, though, is he's more like elusive. He can make some cuts, and I think he can catch out of the backfield, which is something Richardson is probably cannot do. Richardson is just a hammer bull, runs people over, which he's not tall, and you can't get away with that in the NFL like you did in college.
Listen. I can see your point there. I can see your point. But let's get to my stone cold lock. If you're in an eliminator league, you're picking this team to win. It's the Jacksonville Jaguars going to Philadelphia. Lock it in. The Eagles are going to crush Jacksonville.
Lock it in. They're going to crush them. How crush them? Give me numbers, Stanko. I want numbers then.
You want numbers? Listen, all right. I have it at 34-20 with Jacksonville scoring a late touchdown because Philadelphia's got their third-string defense in the fourth quarter.
Third string.
Yeah, that's how ugly it's going to get. I got 34-20, but the score's not going to be indicative of how much of a beatdown this is going to be.
Wow. See, the thing is, I think the Jacksonville Jaguars actually, I think they're heading in the right direction. I think Blake Bortles could play. I mean, if you remember, I was saying for long that kid could play.
Yeah.
I mean, I watched him in the Fiesta Bowl. I thought that he was absolutely legit, and I believe he will be the starting quarterback for them.
Eventually this season?
No, I thought it was announced. Wait, was it not announced that he will not be the starting quarterback?
Wait, I'm confused.
I thought it was announced that he was going to be the starting quarterback, actually.
Well, listen, I agree with you. I think he should have been. I think he's going to start eventually this year.
I mean, either way, he should start this year.
Yeah, I don't have any doubt. I think. Listen, I agree with you. I talked about this with Mike Ritz on my other podcast, Strictly Business, and I shocked him by saying I actually think Jacksonville is going to finish second in the AFC South with a 6-10 record.
But that's not a very bad prediction because that's the worst division in football.
Yeah, there's the biggest discrepancy between the Colts being the best and then everyone else. I don't trust the Texans at all on offense with their quarterback situation and Arian Foster. Don't trust them at all. And I don't trust Jake Locker at all at Tennessee. I'm sorry, he always gets hurt.
Yes, very, very true.
So that's why I have that bold prediction. But it doesn't matter because Philadelphia's offense is one of the best in the NFL. Jacksonville's defense is not one of the best defenses, and they will not be able to keep up at all with the pace of the Eagles.
See, I have Philadelphia usually win this game too. The thing about Philadelphia, though, is can these guys do it again, though? That's a question mark. If they do it again, they are absolutely, and I'll say this right now, they're the best team in the NFC East. If they can do it again. But Nick Foles, Nick Foles, though, I mean, he's only done it 1 year. Can he do it again? Was he great last year? Absolutely. Riley Cooper, can he keep it up? Can Jeremy Maclin stay healthy? I mean, is Jordan Matthews legit? Is Zach Ertz ready to take the next step? Obviously they have Shady McCoy, too, but, Shady McCoy, he's shown he can get hurt. So.
Yeah, but that acquisition of Darren Sproles, I think, is going to be that's going to be Chip Kelly's little baby. You've got two running backs now who are dynamic, catching the ball out of the backfield. How's the defense plan for LaShawn McCoy and Darren Sproles?
And not only that, too, actually, they did also get Kenyon Barner as well. And Chip Kelly will use Kenyon Barner.
Oh, yeah, he definitely will. So
he will find a way to work Kenyon Barner into the game. So those running backs are definitely dynamic. I will say, like I said, though, if the Eagles answer all those questions, though, they will win the NFC East.
Oh, I think that's one of the easiest things to predict than them winning the East.
Oh, I think you're just taking a shot at me now because, I think you're trying to get at my Giants somehow, but...
Listen, we'll get to how anemic your Giants has been when we get to the game Monday night. Let's move on. We got the Oakland Raiders going to New York to play the Jets. Carr, the rookie, named the starter over Matt Schaub for Oakland. I think that's the right move for the Raiders. But with that being
completely
said...
agree for you. With you, excuse me.
Yeah, with that being said, I think the Jets have a chance to make a run at the wild card this year. How do you see this game with Oakland and the Jets turning out?
I like the Jets in this game. It is in the Meadowlands, correct?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it's in the Meadowlands. The Jets, they were 6-2 at home last year, so. The thing with the Jets, though, is I agree with you. I think they can make a run at the wild card. They have two really big question marks, though. Can Geno Smith take that next step and be a viable starting quarterback in this league? And how are they going to overcome those secondary woes? Because that secondary is so bad right now. Put it this way, you'll call my Giants anemic. The Jets' number one quarterback, D. Milner, I will say in confidence, would be the Giants' number 4 quarterback.
Listen, I completely agree with you, but I think that Rex Ryan is enough of a defensive genius to cover up some of the woes in the secondary. He's not going to be able to cover up all of them because there are plenty of gaps. But I think he'll be able to put enough Band-Aids on the defense to make them still one of the better defenses in the NFL.
Yeah, he's magic on the defense. He's been proving that, his whole career. He's been backing it up. The Jets' defensive line clearly scares me. When they have Mo Wilkerson, Sheldon Richardson, they Quentin Copel, he's shown flashes. So the Jets' defensive line is very good. They will be a force to be reckoned with for sure. They're not great on offense, though. I think that Rex Ryan definitely will make them one of the better defenses, but they really are not great on offense. If you don't remember, Eric Decker disappeared in that Super Bowl last year.
I've never been a believer in Eric Decker. I really think he's going to kind of disappear, much like Mike Wallace did when he went to Miami. So I think he's going to disappear. I think Chris Johnson's a solid pickup because if you can get anything out of him at this point in his career, it's going to be a plus. So I think that's a good pickup for them at the running back spot because they've been weak there in years past with players like Sean Green. So I think Chris Johnson is a good big playmaker that they need. But I agree with you, their offense is definitely their weak point. But if someone like Eric Decker can step up and be something like Santonio Holmes was back in his heyday when he was with the Jets, then I think it's something that teams seriously have to watch out for. Yeah,
I agree. Decker definitely. Obviously it's not a fluke like when you put up those numbers, but Peyton Manning throwing you the football is a lot different than Geno Smith throwing you the football. So they're a big question mark. Who starts opposite Decker is another question mark. Like, can these guys step up? Chris Johnson, I do like the fact that Chris Johnson's got a guy like Chris Ivory that would compliment him.
Yes.
Very good change of pace back. I think that'll definitely work in the offense. But I will tell you right now, man, if the Jets are close to making a playoff and Geno has not taken that next step, I think they should absolutely start Michael Vick.
At the end of the year, if they need to make a playoff run, they should put Vick in.
Yes. If Geno has not taken that next, put it this way. Look, the Jets were 8-8 last year, and I think the Chargers were 9-7 and made the playoffs. So they're not far off. If Geno's, and they did it without Geno Smith's mostly mediocre quarterback play. If he is that still same Geno Smith, you got to put Michael Vick in. The guy's got playoff experience. He's got experience in Marty Mornhinweg's offense, and shown that he can still really be dynamic quarterback runner, in this league. So I definitely start Geno to start out the year, but if you're going to try to make a playoff run and Geno has not really taken that next step up, you got to go Michael Vick.
I don't agree with you, to be frank. If Geno Smith starts the first 12 games and they're near the playoffs, you leave him in. Because if you take him out at that point, you are going to shatter his confidence forever.
I don't think he's going to be a top 5 or top 10 quarterback in this league ever. I don't think he'd be doing too much damage.
I don't, but if he's good enough to get you into playoff contention, you got to have enough faith that he can get you over that final hump. Because if you take him out and be like, oh, you've got us this far, we need to win 2 out of our next 4 to make the playoffs. I'm going to take you out now and put Michael Vick in, who hasn't started a game this year. I think that would kill him.
You know what? It definitely would kill his confidence. But you know what? Rex Ryan, I mean, look, we may bash the guy a lot, but he's definitely shown that he's a player's coach. I don't think he would do that ever. Because he always backs his players up. So that's definitely not a move he would make. I'm just saying that's a move I would take for sure. But
well, sir, I respectfully disagree with you.
Yeah, for the game itself, though, I like the Jets. You know, Oakland, you know, like one of the worst teams in football. To be frank, as you said, Derek Hart. See what the kids got. Their defense is terrible. Offensive line is probably the worst in football. So they have a lot of problems. I like the Jets in this one though, pretty easily.
Yeah, I got the Jets 28-13 final score, and for me, Oakland is the worst team in the NFL right now. So Jets have an easy week 1 for sure.
Yeah.
All right, let's go on to an AFC North battle. The Cincinnati Bengals heading to Baltimore to do battle. Two teams that I mean, they both have talent, but can they come through with the talent? That's the big question. For me personally, I think both these teams take a step back this year from where they were last year. But how do you see this game turning out, Kevin? The Bengals going to the Ravens.
See, I think if the Bengals have an elite quarterback, they are one of the best teams in football. That's the thing, though. Andy Dalton has shown he's a capable regular season quarterback. He is not a good quarterback in the playoffs, though. He's like Romo when it comes to the big games.
He's like Romo.
And yes, I took a shot. I'm taking a shot at Romo there, yes, because I think Romo has shown that he's the worst big game quarterback.
Who would you rather have, Tony Romo or Andy Dalton?
Well, Tony Romo's won a playoff game, so I'd rather have Tony Romo.
All right,
so,
I'm with you there. I'm glad you said that.
He is the next Romo now, I think, like, basically. He does not win big game.
Romo. You heard it here. Kevin Bartnett says that Andy Dalton is the next Tony Romo.
Yes, I said, and I'll stand by. I'll tweet it later tonight if you want. No, but I think the Bengals have a lot of talent, a really good football team. It's just Dalton does not have that killer instinct, though, that a quarterback needs, you know, to take his team into, like, the playoffs, take them far and win the Super Bowl. Like guys like Russell Wilson, you know, even Joe Flacco had that killer instinct to take their team to the next level.
Well, I mean, I don't deny it, but I still think Andy Dalton is a better quarterback than Joe Flacco. I firmly believe in that.
I completely disagree with you. I mean, obviously, I respect your opinion, but I think Joe Flacco, until last year when they didn't make the playoffs, Joe Flacco over the past 3 years, though, until last year, was statistically the best playoff quarterback.
Listen, I've never had faith in Joe Flacco. He's played the best football of his career in the playoffs when they won the Super Bowl.
I mean, he clearly outplayed Tom Brady.
There's no way he's worth $20 million a year. I believe that's what he's making. Top quarterback money. No way.
No way, absolutely not. He did not deserve that because he's too inconsistent. But Stanko, you can't deny this, though. Even in the AFC Championship game that they lost to your New England Patriots, Joe Flacco outplayed Tom Brady by a lot in that game.
But they didn't get the W.
They didn't get the W, no, but Joe Flacco did more than his part in that game, though. He outplayed Tom Brady big time.
Well, regardless, that's in the past. And in the present...
All right, but that's a yes, though. I would just say, though, that is a yes. That's a fact.
I'm not denying you. He did outplay him, but it doesn't matter. He didn't get the W. And I'm sorry, I don't think Joe Flacco is a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. I think there are 10 quarterbacks that I'd rather have than Joe Flacco.
I think he might be around 9 or 10, but I have to look at my list, so...
Okay, well, we respectfully disagree there on Joe Flacco, but I think we can both agree that we have the Bengals winning this one.
Yes, we do. Baltimore, you know what? I mean, I'm excited to see how C.J. Mosley does. I mean, you know, he's in Ray Lewis's shoes now. He's a young player, really talented. Let's see what he can do really running that defense. Obviously, you know, their offense is going to struggle. I think Steve Smith, a change of scenery for him is not what he needed. I think he probably should have just retired if he wasn't going to play in Carolina. And, you know, obviously with the suspension of Ray Rice, you know, they're not going to have much of a running game either. So Cincinnati with that great defense, Cincinnati in this one pretty easily, actually.
Yeah, well, I don't have it as easy. I have Cincinnati 27-21. So I
Oh,
don't
really? Okay. I would have Cincinnati, I'd say, about a good, like, 28-14, 2-touchdown win.
Okay. We disagree on the severity there. Let's move on to a team that you are very high on, and I'm high on as well, but not as high as you. The Buffalo Bills head to the Bears in Chicago.
The Bears.
The Bears. The Bears have...
Not only will they win the NFC North, they will have a first-round bye.
Oh, that's a bold prediction, sir. You think they're going to have a better record than the Green Bay Packers, Seattle Seahawks, or possibly someone like the New Orleans Saints and San Francisco 49ers?
No, I think that Seattle will be the top seed. I'm just saying I think they're going to get a bye, one way or another. So even if they're the top seed, one way or another, they will get a bye. And to answer your question, yes. You want to know why? Because I think when it comes out to quarterback, running back, starting 2 wide receivers, and believe it or not, they actually have a decent offensive line for the first time in their franchise history, it seems like.
Yeah.
With that good defense now, especially with the addition of Jared Allen, who I still think could play. The Chicago Bears are the most talented team when it comes to quarterback, running back, and starting 2 wide receivers.
I respectfully disagree with you. I think the Packers have a better overall tandem in terms.
Look. Obviously everyone would take Rodgers over Cutler, but I think Cutler's going to have a big year this year. I think Jeffrey and Marshall, are well above everybody else.
I think Jordy Nelson and Randall Cobb are a pretty darn good dynamic 1-2 punch.
They are. Don't get me wrong, they really are. But I'd rather have Jeffrey and Marshall.
I'd rather have Marshall. Jeffrey, he was really good last year. I want to see him have another year where he's that top-notch possible number 1 receiver.
Right, and you don't
on Jeffrey, but he's very, very good, very, very talented. But right now, I'd put him on par with someone like Randall Cobb.
You're right. What the Bears don't have on receiver, it seems like he is like the guy's an explosive guy. Like they don't have the guy who can really stretch the field because like Jeffrey and Marshall are big. Like they're big guys. They definitely go up and get the ball.
Yeah.
And Martellus Bennett's a good red zone target too. But what they have that I think the Green Bay Packers don't have is Matt Forte. Forte is that guy who stretches the field for them. He breaks free for 50 yards, runs for touchdown. I think Forte is a very dynamic player.
I agree with you. I think that while Forte is a better overall player than Lacy, is not as durable as Lacy, in my mind. So
that's very true. You can never count on him for being healthy. Very true.
Yeah, so it's a toss. I agree with you. The Bears got a very good year. I have them making the playoffs of a wild card with an 11-5 record. That's in my predictions. They're going to finish 11-5 and get a wild card spot.
That's fair. Very fair.
Yeah, so I have the Packers going 12-4 and the Bears going 11-5. I have the Bears winning Week 1 against Buffalo, 35-21, pretty easy, with them pulling off the reins in the fourth quarter because they'll be up by a bit. So I got the Bears winning.
Right. Buffalo, another team, I thought that they were really headed for the right direction, actually. But then that injury to Kiko Alonso, man, he was a stud last year.
Yeah,
that was a huge blow.
He was incredible.
What people don't know about the Buffalo Bills, though, is right there. They are up there with everybody in the league, though. Everybody is that pass rush.
Well, yes. Listen, I think that if E.J. Manuel turns out to be a good quarterback, which is still an if at this point.
The jury's still out.
Yes, the jury is still out. But I think in 2 or 3 years, if E.J. Manuel progresses as he can, if he becomes a good player, they'll be a very good team, a playoff contending team. But they're not there yet. I think they're still 2 to 3 years away.
Obviously losing Jarvis Bird also hurts them too. I don't know if he really wanted to go back to Buffalo, but just from everything I read, they never really pursued him very hard, which I think is really foolish for a guy who was really a good player for you guys for a long time. I would have given him whatever he wanted. Because he was a very good player for them for a long time. And it's very hard to keep people in Buffalo nowadays. So
it is very hard. It's very hard to keep a team in Buffalo nowadays, it seems, as well.
Yes. We'll see how that ownership situation works out. I hope that they do stay in Buffalo, though. Is it the biggest market? No, but those fans are so passionate and loyal.
Yeah. They have incredibly loyal fans in every sport. About the Buffalo Sabres, the Buffalo Bills, every sport.
Like the city shuts down when they have games.
Yeah. Moving on. Still Week 1 of the NFL season. This is the BS Report with John Stanko and Kevin Bartnett. The Washington Redskins traveled to Houston, and I'm going to be honest with you, this game was really hard for me to pick because the Redskins' offensive line has been so bad in the preseason in my mind. And the Houston Texans have I don't know if you know, but they have 2 pretty good pass rushers in J.J. Watt and Jadeveon Clowney. I don't know if you've heard of them before, but they're pretty good.
No. I think Watt's pretty big. I think he's pretty big, right? Not huge or anything, right? No.
He's mediocre size. He goes the weight room from time to time. That's about it.
No. But just to get to that point though, J.J. Watt is a man it's like a god amongst men, basically. He is, I think, hands down the best defensive lineman in all of football. He is absolutely huge. He gets through anybody that tries to stop him. And I think he can make life miserable for Robert Griffin III, especially when you have this new guy, Clowney, who I know didn't get a lot of hype on the other side. But, we'll see how that turns out.
But after thinking, I think that Washington is going to win this game, 28-21. I have the final score. I'm not confident.
And I agree with you.
I'm not confident in this pick. I'm really not. Because I don't have faith in RG3 at all. But I think that the Houston Texans offense will struggle so mightily without a truly good quarterback. That I think the Redskins defense is a little bit underrated, and I think that they'll get a big play from a Deshaun Jackson, which I think that's gonna be a pretty good duo, Deshaun Jackson and RG3 if they can connect. But I got them eking this out on a late big play. I'm not confident in the pick, but I got Washington winning.
Right. I agree with Washington too, because if we're being real here, Washington, their offense, their weapons and skill players are very good. Deshaun Jackson, Pierre Garcon, Alfred Morris, Jordan Reed, RG3. I think you can have a decent year, but what's the one thing that all of them, except for Morris, have had? They all have health problems.
Yep.
Jordan Reed had concussions. Deshaun Jackson always finds a way to get hurt somehow. Garcon's had ankle and leg problems in the past. And RG3, obviously, with the bad knee last year. I think that definitely, though, when you name those guys, they're obviously very talented guys. But with that being said, also, to go along with the offense, the defense, the linebackers' defensive line, I think, are really good. Between Arakpo, Ryan Kerrigan, they just added Jason Hatcher in the offseason. Very good. He was probably the only bright spot for that horrible Dallas Cowboys defense last year.
Which is going to be worse this year.
Yes, the secondary was terrible for Washington last year, and I think it's going to continue to be terrible. And in the NFC, where they have a lot of great quarterbacks, and AFC especially, too. There's a lot of great quarterbacks in this league. That's a big no-no. But I do like them to win this game, though, because the Houston Texans are one of those teams who do not have a very good quarterback. Andre Johnson's aging, doesn't really want to be there even. So I like Washington in a pretty tight, not well-played game, but Washington in this one.
Yeah, it'll be an ugly victory. Moving on, we got the Tennessee Titans heading to Kansas City, heading to Arrowhead. It's the new era for Ken Whisenhunt, but I made it known before that I am not a believer in the Titans and Jake Locker. So for me personally, I got Kansas City winning this game easy with Jamal Charles running all over the Titans. I don't know how you feel.
I'm with you on that one. Look, I think the Chiefs definitely won't be as good. I think they're going to miss the playoffs. That being said, they're still a solid football team. I don't know if they're a playoff team. They lost a lot of players this offseason. That being said, though, I think Titans you got to put down as one of the worst in the league, though. I really believe that, actually. Is Kendall Wright a legit number one wide receiver? I do like Justin Hunter. I think he could break out this year. But just too many questions with Jake Locker, Bishop Sankey, not a great defense, especially after losing Alteron Burner. Titans, I got to put as one of the league's stellar teams. So I definitely like Kansas City in this game.
All right, so we are in agreement there. Glad to see that. And then we get to my team. Let it be known, the New England Patriots are heading down to Miami to open up the season. Gronkowski says he's going to play, but Bill Belichick says, not so fast. I'll make the final decision. But I think Gronk does eventually play in this game. He won't play every down. He won't play a lot of snaps, but he'll play and get his feet wet. And I don't think he'll need to play a lot of snaps because I think the Patriots can win this one pretty easily with the new and improved defense and the unthreatening Miami Dolphins offense in my mind. So I got the Patriots winning this one 38-24.
I definitely agree with the Patriots on the pick. I am very excited to see your defense play, though, Jonathan Stanko, because I've just been hearing a lot of hype about it. A lot of hype. It's like, you better back it up with how much they've been talking, so. How much reporters have been talking about how good it's going to be and everything. Darrelle Revis definitely is a huge addition for the New England Patriots. I can't wait to see them play, to be honest. But, as long as number 12 is playing quarterback, look, you're always going to be the favorite to the AFC East. They're definitely, I have them as my division winner in the AFC East. Yeah. Tom Brady is one of the all-time greats. Miami, no team, I think, is definitely going in the right direction. But it's, like I said with a guy like Geno Smith, can Ryan Tannehill, he's solid, nothing special. Can he go to that next level? And this year, I don't think he can.
I don't think I think Ryan Tannehill has plateaued. I don't think he's going to get any better than he is now. So to be frank, I think as I see that in 2 years, they'll be looking for a new quarterback. My opinion.
Really, that's. I mean, I think he's definitely, he's definitely serviceable as of right now. He's better than I think he's definitely starting caliber in the league. Maybe not on a bad team, but I don't think he's taking a team
like the Dolphins.
I don't think he's taking a team to the playoffs though anytime soon.
No, we completely agree there. So we agree that the Patriots win pretty easily Week 1 against Miami.
Patriots, I like pretty easily, yes.
Yes. Now we get to a game that I think it's very interesting. A division rivalry. You got a team that lost so many people in the Carolina Panthers. Cam Newton is now all alone. Superman's got no friends, and Superman's got 2 cracked ribs. And they're heading to Tampa Bay to play the Buccaneers, who just traded for Logan Mankins, which was a great trade in my mind for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, because they needed offensive line help, and Logan Mankins, in my mind, is one of the best offensive linemen in the NFL.
They were so desperate for guards, they had to call Richie Incognito.
Yeah, exactly. So this is a very, very interesting game, and I'm interested to see who you pick here, Kevin.
It's very tough, because people forgetting how good Carolina's defense was last year. A lot of people are forgetting that they had one of the top 2 or 3 defenses in the league last year, right there with everybody, and they had a first-round bye. So they were, very, very good defense. But I think I got to go Tampa Bay in this game. Something just in my gut is telling me that Ron Rivera is on the hot seat. I just have a feeling he has a really bad year, that he definitely is going to be on the hot seat. And that Tampa Bay is new and improved. Lovie Smith, one of the best coaches I thought in the league during his time with Chicago. New and improved team. Josh Allen, quarterback. I like Tampa Bay.
I'm surprised that you like them, because I like them as well in this game.
Okay.
Yeah, I really don't buy into Carolina's offense. They lost so many weapons. So many.
Yeah, very true.
I mean, it's just like they're like, all right, we played well. Let's get rid of our entire offense and see if we can just live on defense. Granted, their defense is great, and I love Luke Kuechly. I absolutely love him, Boston College grad. Love it. But I got Tampa Bay eking this one out, because you look at their wide receivers, and I think that they're giants in Vincent Jackson and Mike Evans, 2 red zone targets that Josh McCown could throw to regularly. And I think Doug Martin's stock goes up with the addition of Logan Mankins as well. So I got Tampa Bay winning this one in a low-scoring game, 17-14.
Oh, you also I do agree. I think Quinn said I had 17-14 as well. You did leave out one Giant, though, who I think will be a very good player in this league. And then is their new starting tight end, Austin Seferian-Jenkins. I think that kid will be a really good player in this league.
To be honest with you, I don't know much about him.
He was a starting tight end at Washington, huge guy, another red zone target they have. I wasn't saying for that team, I actually wasn't really thrilled with the Mike Evans pick for them, because you already have a giant in Vincent Jackson. I don't really see how you have 2 of the same guys, basically, because they don't really have a guy who can stretch the field. But, that being said, I guess you can say the same thing about the Bears, and it worked out pretty well for them, so.
I think that Tampa Bay is a team that's going to really improve this year. I think Carolina's going to take a dip down. Speaking of a team that's going to take a dip down the well and become a cellar dweller, if you will, the Dallas Cowboys are hosting the San Francisco 49ers. And I'm going to tell you right now, I think this game can get really, really, really ugly in the favor of the 49ers, because guess what? The Cowboys, they in my mind, will have the worst defense in the NFL this year.
Not only will they have the worst defense in the NFL, they are going to push for the worst defense in NFL history. That's how bad their defense is.
Okay.
Well, they were close last year. If not, they did technically have the worst defense last year in NFL history.
Yeah, but, that's a fair point.
I lost your props to Jerry Jones today. Apparently he signed Michael Sam in the practice squad. It's always a nice story to hear about that. So,
well, to be honest, it's a nice story, but I also think it's a good signing for Dallas. They need all the defensive help they can get. And
that's right.
I think it's actually a good signing.
And just the thing is, too, you would figure with Dallas that they would try and keep their few good defensive players. They lost their 2 best defensive players last year. They lost Jason Hatcher to the rival Redskins, and they lost to Marcus Ware to the Broncos.
Yep.
So, Dallas, as much as I believe me, and you know me, and when it comes, I do not like the Dallas Cowboys at all. I do not like them as a fan or anything. I don't like anything about them. but I think it's very legitimate that this team is going to be in last place.
I agree with you. I have them finishing, I think it's at 6-10 or 5-11. I have them finishing last place in the East.
I mean, granted, their offense, they got talent on offense, but, man, that defense is going to be bad.
I think Des Bryant is going to have he might have the most receiving yards in the NFL this year because they're going to be down so often. Tony Romo's just going to be throwing the ball all day long.
Right. Oh, I should have taken that. I should have taken that when it came to fantasy. Dang it. Should have kept that in mind. I got Jason Witten, though, so.
Yeah. But so we both agree San Francisco wins pretty easily here over Dallas.
Hands down. I think San Francisco actually might slip up a little bit this year. They've made 3 straight NFC championships.
You are
with Alden Smith being
a smart man.
What's up?
You are a smart man. I agree with you. They're gonna take a dip.
Alden Smith being suspended 9 games. Justin Smith is at the end of his career. Navarro Bowman, he's not starting the season now, I don't believe. And if he is, I don't think he'll be the same player with that gruesome injury he had in the NFC Championship game. But I am excited to see how Colin Kaepernick can operate, though, when he has a whole season of Crabtree, Bolden, and new addition Stevie Johnson. So.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens there. I think having Michael Crabtree back, though, and healthy for a full year is really, really going to help Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah, because last year, dude, he only had Bolden and Davis, and whenever, they would take just one of those guys out of the game, and then therefore, Bolden would be the only guy you could throw to, or Davis, whenever both of them would get double teamed, one of them would get double teamed, it just takes them right out, one of those guys right out of the game. So He's got some weapons to work with now.
Yep. All right, so let's get to the Sunday night game. It's a clash of 2 eras. The Indianapolis Colts, led by Andrew Luck, head to Denver to play the Denver Broncos, who will be without Wes Welker, who just hours before this podcast was suspended 4 games for amphetamine use, having used Molly, much like the Orlando Scandrick situation with Dallas. So he is out for the first 4 games.
Wow, big blow for Denver.
Yeah, it's a big blow for Denver, and he already had that concussion thing. So you might say it's kind of a blessing in disguise. Wes Welker now forced to rest and not push himself and his body and his health. But with that being said, I still like Denver in this game to open up the season with a win. Do you agree with me?
Absolutely. And if we're just going to season predictions, I think that this will be the AFC Championship game.
Oh, okay.
I think this is I love Andrew Luck. I think Andrew Luck is going to take a huge step forward, and that means I think maybe a top 3 quarterback in the NFL. That's how good I think he's going to be.
Oh, you think it's going to be top 3 after this year?
Yes, absolutely. I mean,
you think he's going to pass? Okay, so wait, you got the top 5 of Manning, Rodgers, Breeze, Brady. Who is he going to be better than after this year?
I think he will pass I think he will pass your number 12.
Okay.
Absolutely. I think he will be better. You don't know, maybe after this year, Peyton Manning maybe he may not be the same Peyton Manning. Maybe he might retire after this year, Peyton Manning. You never know. I think that he'll be right there with Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees. I really think he will.
Okay.
This kid does it all. He's got a great arm. He's deadly accurate. He is smart. And, dude, he can move to save his ass and score touchdowns.
No, listen, I agree with you. I think that he's going to be a top 5 quarterback and the best quarterback in this league eventually in his career. I don't know if he'll jump up that high this year, but I agree with you that I actually have the Indianapolis Colts as the number 1 seed in the AFC heading into the playoffs because their schedule is so easy with them being in such an awful division. But I do not have them in the AFC Championship.
I have them in the AFC Championship. I just think Andrew Luck is going to be that good. But just this game in general, though, I think the Denver Broncos, look, I think losing Eric Decker definitely, I mean, it stings, but then once I heard they picked up Emmanuel Sanders, Sanders is he's a good wide receiver, and he's a big man. Imagine what he could do with Peyton Manning.
I think Sanders is a better wide receiver than Decker. I think they upgraded.
Yeah, I mean, I think, no disrespect. They've got a very good quarterback, but Peyton Manning is Peyton Manning. He's one of the top 3 quarterbacks of all time, in my opinion. I think Peyton Manning throwing the ball to Emmanuel Sanders. Emmanuel Sanders will break out big time this year.
Yeah.
And show how good he will really be. I love Julius Thomas, love Demaryius Thomas, Their running game is a big question mark, though. Can Monte Ball get it done? That's a huge question mark.
So we'll see what happens. No Sean Moreno, no more safety net for Monte Ball. It is all on him this year. But Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say also, but I also love them with their improved defense. So, adding T.J. Ward, DeMarcus Ware, Aqib Talib, I think they're going in the right direction on defense, too, after that trouncing they took last year.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I have both these teams winning their respective divisions. I'll let it be known, and I'm sure you agree with me.
I absolutely agree.
Okay, so let's get to Monday night, shall we? Let's get to your team, the New York Giants, heading to Detroit to play Matthew Stafford and the Detroit Lions. Kevin Bartnett, I give the floor to you.
I don't know, man. Look, with how inept the offense has been this preseason, I can never be confident now, but I'm going to tell you right now, John Stanko, the New York Giants defense will surprise people this year. Whether people know or not, they have one of the better secondaries in football, especially a cornerback, with the new addition Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie and Walter Thurman, who, in my opinion, is the best slot cornerback in all of football. And Prince Amukamara had a good year last year. The New York Giants last year had the number 8 defense in the NFL. And I think they only got better this offseason, even though they lost Justin Tuck. So that's a bright spot on the team. Therefore, just the offense is so bad right now, I can't pick them to win anything because I think Detroit is going to put up points. Now with the Calvin Johnson, now he's got a good complement in Golden Tate. That's not a good team to play against. See how good your secondary could be in the first game. Not a good team to play against.
Yeah.
I like Detroit in this game.
I agree with you. I think this game's going to get ugly. I think it's an example of two polar opposite offenses. One that's high-powered, in sync all the time, and ready to strike for big plays at any moment. And then you have the New York Giants who are throwing the ball 10 yards down the field and relying on a West Coast style, and Eli Manning is not going to be slinging the ball down the field as much this year.
One thing that Eli Manning is very good. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, John.
I have the Detroit Lions winning 34-21.
34-21. I think they're going to win. I think that you should give a little more respect to the Giants' defense, though. I think, Jason Pierre-Paul finally healthy. Jonathan Hankins is going to be a stud. Watch out for him, defensive tackle. He will be a stud. He's second-year man out of Ohio State. Demontre Moore has played really well this offseason. And those corners, man, look, I don't think that no one can defend Calvin Johnson in this league, but I think the corner that the secondary is playing and for a role is like wine. He gets better with age. John Beeson was real good last year. I think the defense is going to be pretty good, to be honest. One of the better ones in the league. The offense, though, like you said, is so bad. I think that you would have to say, like, in this game, I think you'd be like a 24-13 kind of game.
Okay, so we agree that the Lions are winning. And let's get to the final game of Week 1. It's the finale, and it's a good game. It's the San Diego Chargers heading to Arizona to play the Cardinals. Two teams that I think are pretty good teams that are just unlucky being in tough divisions with other good teams in there.
Yes.
This game was very, very hard for me to pick. But I'll tell you this, I got Arizona winning by 3, 24-21. But I think this game is 50-50.
I think if Arizona had a good quarterback, they would be one of the best teams in the league. I talked about the Giants, secondary being studs, obviously Arizona with Patrick Peterson, the addition of Antonio Cromartie and Tyrann Mathieu. They got a very good defense, and Bruce Arians, man, that guy just does magic, it seems like, wherever he goes. So I think they're a really good team. As for San Diego, I don't really understand the Donald Brown pickup when you already have two good running backs in Ryan Matthews and Danny Woodhead. Don't really understand the move there.
Yeah, I love completely, yeah.
Yeah, I love Keenan Allen. I think Keenan Allen breaks into one of the best wide receivers in the game after his sophomore season. I don't think the sophomore slump hits him at all. This being said, though, in the desert, look, Arizona's never really been a place for home field advantage, so I do like Arizona in this game. Very tight game, though. It's very hard to pick. I could change it at any moment.
Okay, so, all right, so there we go. That's Week 1 for you. We disagree on some games. We agree on most. We'll see who comes out on top after this week. But, Kevin, now it's time to get bold. It's time to make the bold predictions. I think what we got to do is pick both the conference championship games, which you already said your AFC championship game, and then pick our Super Bowl, and then pick our NFL MVP. Are you ready for this?
Yes.
Okay. Let's start in the AFC because you already mentioned your AFC championship game. You have the Indianapolis Colts and the Denver Broncos matching up for a chance to go to the Super Bowl.
I do.
Okay. I agree with you on one of the teams. I agree with you on the Denver Broncos, but I have the New England Patriots going up against the Denver Broncos in the AFC Championship game.
You know, it could go. I think the AFC is so top heavy with those three teams. I think that the NFC is an overall better conference. I'm being real there.
No doubt,
I think
no
that
doubt.
the three best teams in the AFC, hands down, are the Colts, Patriots, and Broncos. So I think no matter what, those two teams, that game will be represented by two of those teams, hands down. You can go either way. I've been on the fence. I think Denver's definitely going to get there. I just have the feeling they're going to get there no matter what. I'm so on the fence between the Patriots and Colts. I just think that, though, you know, the new number 12, Andrew Luck, will beat your number 12 for some reason.
Okay.
I think it's like a changing of the guard.
Oh, that'll be a very, very sad day. That'll be a sad day. That'll be a sad day. But all right, let's get to the NFC. Who do you got in your NFC Championship game?
The NFC Championship game will be the Seattle Seahawks, and as as much as I've been praising Dub Bears, I think when the push comes to shove, it will be Seattle, though, a playoff rematch last year between Seattle and the New Orleans Saints.
Okay. I agree with you on one of the teams. I agree with you on the New Orleans Saints. But I have I have the New Orleans Saints going against the Green Bay Packers in the NFC.
Oh, okay.
I think that with Aaron Rodgers, he's going to be healthy. He's going to be there for a full year. And I disagree with you. You mentioned earlier that you think Eddie Lacy may take a step back with Aaron Rodgers being back for a full year. I disagree. I think it's going to show more versatility for Eddie Lacy, and he's still going to be a very, very good running back in this league. So that's why I got in my NFC Championship.
Okay. I respect that. I respect it. I think the Packers make it as a wild card, as I said. I think they make it as a 4 or 5 seed. I think if they make it as a 5 seed, they'll beat whoever the NFC East winner is.
Okay.
But then they would have to play the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah.
Who I think now, if we can move on to the Super Bowl, I have the exact rematch of last year. I'm going for the repeat rematch this year.
Okay, so you got the Seattle Seahawks once again beating up on the Denver Broncos?
I don't have them beating up on the Denver Broncos. I think this one will actually be a tight game because I think Denver now, what people forget about Denver last year was they were missing all season last year. Played about 4 or 5 games with Ryan Clady. And I think Ryan Clady is a huge difference maker for them. I think that it'll be closer, but once again, man, it's just the Legion of Boom, the big, bad Seattle Seahawks. They're going to take it all again.
Okay, well, I disagree with you. Granted, I do have the Denver Broncos in the Super Bowl. I have them going up against the New Orleans Saints, but I have the Broncos losing once again to the New Orleans Saints. I think Peyton Manning goes 0 for 2 in consecutive years in the big game.
And he loses to the Saints again.
Yeah, listen, I really think that the Saints team is poised for some big things. I think their defense is going to be top-notch. I think Drew Brees is on a mission. Jimmy Graham is the best tight end in football. This offense is so good. The team does not lose at home. I have them as the number 1 seed in the NFC heading into the playoffs, and I think it's absolutely crucial, if my predictions were to stay true, that they get that number 1 seed. Because if they're anywhere outside that number 1 seed, I have them losing. But I have them finishing with the best record in the NFC, and that's why I have them going all the way to the Super Bowl and winning.
Very, very, very fair. I won't knock that at all, because I think it's such a. I think the top teams in the league right now are so far ahead of everybody else that you can't help but pick against. You can't pick against them. That's why. It can go any way. That's what I'm getting at here. I mean, look, if the Saints are playing at home against Seattle in the playoffs, I'm picking New Orleans, obviously. So.
Yeah.
All these teams are so good, though. I mean, we'll see what happens. That's the beauty of football, my friend.
It is the beauty of football. And before we close out this BS Report podcast, Jonathan and Kevin Bartnett here. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. We got to pick our most valuable players. Kevin, who do you got winning MVP this year of the NFL?
Number 12, the changing of the guard, Mr. Andrew Luck.
Oh, my God. Get a room. You and Andrew Luck need to get a room. Get a room.
Hey, man, look. That kid played so good against you guys last year. You guys were clearly the better team last year in the playoffs. That kid played his butt off. And now he's got legit options to throw to this year now. I think that team might have a shot to resurrect his career with him. So I think Trent Richardson could have a bounce back year, maybe not. But I think this kid is only going and getting better. Andrew Luck, MVP. Look, You heard it here first.
All right, I disagree with you. I got Drew Brees of the New Orleans Saints being MVP. I think he's going to set some sort of record this year. I don't know what. I don't know what record he's going to set. But I think he's going to break some record that's going to make him a clear favorite for NFL MVP, because this team is going to throw the ball all over the yard. And that's why I got Drew Brees as my MVP. I don't have the changing of the guard yet. Not yet.
And Drew Brees, man, that guy is a stud. I will give you that, though. So I ain't going to hate on that.
Okay. All right. Good conversation, Kevin Bartnett. Good conversation.
Very good conversation. I can't wait to do this every week now.
There we go. All right. So I want to thank you, everyone, for tuning in to the BS Report. I'm John Stanko, being joined by Kevin Bartnett. I believe, Kevin, I'll be trying to post these every Thursday morning before the Thursday night games. So
sounds great.
Look out Thursday mornings for these releases of the BS Report podcast.
And look out my Twitter and Facebook page.
Oh yes, and of course I'll mention Kevin Bartnett in my tweet and Facebook page and stuff like that. So everyone, be sure to share it and contact us if you have any questions, ideas, or comments. We are always welcome to those. Kevin, it's a pleasure, and I'll talk to you next week.
Always a pleasure, my friend. You have a great week.
Enjoy opening day of football. It's back, baby.
I will. Let's do it. All right, John.